Good evening, everyone. Before I say a single word about what we are studying today, I want to try a quick 10-second experiment. Look at the person sitting next to you. Without speaking, without making a sound, and without using your hands to write anything, try to tell them exactly what you had for breakfast today. Go. Okay, so were any of you able to successfully convey like aloo paratha or toast and tea just by staring intently at your friend? Probably not, right? But notice what just happened. Even when you weren't allowed to speak, you were still trying your absolute best to interact. You were widening your eyes, nodding your head, or laughing. As you can see on the screen in the slide, today we are diving into a superpower we use every single second of our lives, that is communication. Think about your day so far today. You wake up and scroll through your phone. Maybe you send a quick WhatsApp sticker to a friend. What is that? That is communication. You go to the kitchen and you look up at your mother with a sleepy face, and they instantly know you need a cup of tea before anyone talks to you. What is that? That is also communication. You negotiate with an auto rickshaw or e rickshaw driver to get to campus on time. What is that? That is also communication. We do it constantly, yet how often do we actually stop to think about how we do it and how we can do it better? If you look closely at our roadmap on the slide, communication isn't just about speaking. It is built on four major pillars. That is, listen, express, connect, and inspire. Let's come to listen. Have you ever been talking to someone and you can practically see the gears running in their head because they are not actually listening to you? They're just waiting for their turn to speak. We all have been there. Active listening is half the battle. Number two, express. Finding the exact right words, tones, and body language to share what's inside your mind. Number third, connect. Moving past just trading information to actually building a bridge with another human being. Number four, inspire. As the quote on the bottom right of the slide says, the art of communication is the language of leadership. It's how we move people to action. To kick things off, look at the stack of books picture on the left side of the slide. Effective communication, active listening, public speaking, and confidence and impact. I want a quick show of hands. If a gene could instantly grant you master level skills in just one of these four areas right now for your academic or professional life, which one would you pick and why? Now, moving to the next slide, the meaning of communication. To truly teach communication, we have to look past our modern understanding and explore its root meaning and academic definition. As highlighted in the top section of the slide, communication does not origin from modern English. It is derived from two closely related Latin words. Number one is communis, that is meaning common, and number two is communicare, meaning to share. The core concept is that, at its very root, communication is not just about talking or sending a message out into the void. It is about establishing commonness or sharing information, ideas, thoughts, or attitudes so that both the sender and the receiver are on the exact same page. If there is no shared understanding, true communication has not occurred. In formal academic terms, communication is defined as a continuous two-way process of exchanging information, messages, thoughts, or feelings between a sender and a receiver to reach a common understanding. It is continuous. It's not a one-time event with a hard stop. It's an ongoing fluid cycle. Even silence or a shift in body language is a continuation of the process. Number two, it is a two-way. True communication demands a loop. It requires both transmission and reception. Without reception and interpretation, it is merely broadcasting. The bottom half of the slide maps out the communication process as a linear, cyclic chain consisting of seven distinct elements. If any single link in this chain breaks, the entire process fails. Number one is sender. The sender is the origin point of the communication loop. They have an intention, a thought, a feeling, or data that they want to share. Before anything else can happen, the sender must decide what needs to be conveyed. Number two is message. This is the physical or abstract product created by the sender. It is the actual information, opinion, or emotion that needs to get across. It can be spoken words, a written mail, a facial expression, or a graphic layout. Number third is encoding. Human minds cannot directly read other minds. We cannot transfer raw thoughts telepathically. Therefore, the sender must encode the thought, translating the abstract internal idea into a tangible, symbolic code that receiver can decode. Number four is channel, or we can say it is the medium. This is the physical or digital pathway that carries the encoded message from the sender to the receiver. For example, spoken face-to-face dialogue, phone calls, or in written or digital examples include text messages, emails, presentation slides, or the internet. Number fifth is receiver, the target audience of the message. Once the receiver catches the message via the chosen channel, they must decode it. This means translating the words, symbols, or gestures back into an internal mental thought or meaning. Number six is feedback. This is the ultimate validation step. Feedback is what officially transforms communication from a one-way broadcast into a two-way complete process. It's let the sender know if the message was received accurately, misinterpreted, or ignored entirely. Number seven, noise. As shown by the jagged red line running underneath the model, noise is an omnipresent threat to communication. It isn't just loud sounds, it can be physical, psychological, or semantic. Noise can strike at any stage of the process, distorting the message before it reaches the receiver. The next slide, which shows the characteristics of communication. Number one, two-way process. Communication cannot happen in a vacuum or entirely in one direction. It requires an active partnership, one party to transmit a message and another to actively take in it. If a person talks continuously without observing or caring how the other person is responding, they are just broadcasting, not communicating. Think of a classic bad date or an annoying phone call where the other person talks about themselves for about 40 minutes straight without asking a single question or letting you get a word in edgewise. It feels exhausting because it is a monologue. Real communication is like a game of badminton. The shuttlecock has to fly back and forth over the net. Number two is continuous and dynamic. Communication never truly takes a break, nor is it frozen in time. It is fluid, evolving constantly based on the mood, changing relationship dynamics, and environmental shift. Even when verbal conversation stops, the silence itself conveys meaning. Imagine you walk into a kitchen and greet your roommate or family member. They don't reply, but they slam a cabinet door shut and avoid eye contact. No words are spoken, yet communication is continuously happening. Their reactions dynamically adjusted the mood of the room instantly, forcing you to change how to approach them. Number third is mutual understanding. The ultimate goal is to achieve common meaning between the sender and the receiver. You haven't truly communicated just because you uttered words. Success is measured by whether the mental picture in the receiver's head matches the mental picture what was in the sender's head. If you text a classmate, let's meet at the bench near the canteen at 4. But there are actually two different canteens on campus, and they might end up waiting at the science canteen while you were at the arts canteen. You sent a message and they received it. But because there was no mutual understanding, the communication failed. Number 4 is pervasive. Pervasive means all encompassing and unavoidable. You cannot communicate it exists across every level of an organization, every social setting, and every living interaction. For example, think about your phone's lock screen. If someone texts you a deeply emotional paragraph and you leave them on read for 12 hours, your total lack of words, actions, or expressions is still communicating a massive message to that person. Your silence speaks volumes. Number 5 is goal oriented and intentional. We don't just generate communication at random, we engage in it because our subconscious or conscious minds wants to achieve a specific outcome or meet a human need. For example, think about changing your tone when asking a professor for an assignment extension versus talking to a best friend. Your communication comes highly intentional. You use formal vocabulary, polite phrasing, and a softer tone because your specific goal is to persuade them to grant you more time. Number 6 is circular in nature. Rather than a straight line that ends up abruptly at a destination, communication functions like a wheel. The sender gives a message, the receiver decodes it and sends back feedback, which turns the original receiver into a sender, keeping the wheel turning. For example, think of bargaining with a street vendor. You say, "How much for this bag?" They say 500 rupees. You offer, I will give 300. The conversation rolls back and forth in a circular loop until a deal is struck. Number 7 is irreversible and unrepeatable. Once a word leaves your mouth or an email clears your outbox, it alters reality forever. You can apologize for it, but you can never erase the fact that it occurred. Furthermore, you can never perfectly recreate a communication moment because the exact context, mood, and timing will have changed. Think of an argument where you accidentally blurt out something deeply hurtful to a loved one. Even if you say, I didn't mean it, or let's pretend I never said it, 2 seconds later, the emotional damage is done. The arrow has left the bow. Number 8. Multidimensional. A single message is rarely sent through just one sensory channel. It operates on layers. The literal was spoken, the tone and pitch, eye contact and posture, and the underlying psychological energy. For example, if a close friend says the words, yeah, I'm totally fine, but their voice cracks, their eyes are watering, and they are staring down at the floor, the verbal dimension says one thing, but the nonverbal and emotional dimensions tells you the exact opposite. You listen to the dimensions, not just the words. Number 9. Systematic and contextual. A message never exists in isolation. Its meaning is entirely dictated by the background rules of the environment, cultural norms, the history between the people involved, and the physical setting. For example, if you jokingly call your best friend an incredibly silly, mocking nickname in the middle of a university cafeteria, everyone laughs because the context is casual and friendly. However, if you use that exact same nickname for them while they are presenting their final academic project in front of an evaluation board of professors, the systematic context changes it from a harmless joke into a massive, inappropriate disaster. That's all for today's evening. We will meet again with another such interesting topic related to communication. Have a warm evening ahead.